And hello and welcome everyone to the comic multiverse where the worlds of nerd meet. We're back again, Matt, after another impromptu hiatus. I swear I'm not planning all of these things. I'm sorry. The show has been so infrequent this month. August has just been whooping my ass like I owe it money. I don't know who I pissed off in the greater cosmology of the universe, but everything that could have gone wrong for me did go wrong for me. I had a really impromptu trip to the city that I didn't plan for.
Yeah, even for like me, like for some reason August was just so fucking busy.
What did we do, Matt? Who did we offend?
I,
What curse did we awaken?
Someone we stepped on someone's ancestors' bones or something. I don't know.
Yes.
Walked across some hidden Native American graveyard or something. I
Or
don't know.
something, yeah. I blame Zaslav because everyone seems to be. Damn you, Zaslav. It's either that or the moon people are finally back for us, Matt.
Oh, no.
Our season 1 antagonist, the moon people, who we were very much against. With their damn moon speak, thinking they're so great because they were, born on the moon and shit.
Yeah, the blue side of the moon. Yeah.
Yeah, bringing that one back for everyone. But yeah, so I went to the city, which I didn't much enjoy, but I did end up having some time on my hands. I read a book, actually, a book without pictures.
Oh, really?
Yes, I read that Jeanette McCurdy book, I'm Glad My
Yes.
Mom Is Dead.
Yes.
Because I love Hollywood shit show stories. I love shit involving child actors. And oh boy, the book was called I'm Glad My Mom Died. How could you not want to read that? It's everything you thought it would be. Again, I never watched iCarly or Sam and Max because, I'm a dude and I was totally past, the freaking target demographic for Nickelodeon. But even if you're not, it's a really goddamn interesting read.
And even if you haven't, you've probably at some point, if you've been on the internet for as long as we have, has heard of like
Yes.
the shit inadvertently that has come out about all of this, about Dan, Mr. Footman Schneider.
Sheridan. Yeah, or yeah, Dan Sheridan. Yeah, man. Here's the funny thing about the Sheridan bit, because that was the thing that we all really wanted to read. There was even a thing that came out like a couple months prior where it's like, oh, when she left the show, Nickelodeon tried to give her like $300,000, basically just shut up and never talk about him.
Yeah.
It's great because the book just calls him the creator for a couple chapters. Then by the end, it's like, fuck it, so Dan, right? And it's like, it's not just that the dude was incredibly creepy to the young child cast, but it was also that the dude was some sort of weird, like, psychological warfare dude who would, like, repeatedly cast all the stars against each other and get them to talk about each other behind their back and fight. And I'm like, dude, you work in fucking kids' television. What is wrong with you?
Yeah. One thing I didn't know that I learned about reading about all the stuff when our book was coming out was why all the shows were filmed in Florida, and that's because Florida doesn't have, like, child labor laws.
Yep.
And that's why all of these shows are filmed down in their studios there, because they can just work them until they turn to drink and drugs and whatever else.
Everything else, yeah. It's fucking crazy that they let that go on for so long. And by the end of it, he had like kind of stepped on the wrong toes, and he had like kind of pushed himself too far. She was
wrong toes.
Wrong toes. Hey, how about that? I didn't mean to do that, but I did. Basically, by the end of his run, he wasn't allowed to be on set anymore. They basically had him direct remotely from like a sound booth, and they said that sucked because that added like an extra 2 hours onto every shoot, because like a PA would have to go to his little sound booth, come back, run back and forth. So like he had to direct remotely because no one wanted to see him and no one wanted to work with him.
Because he's such a fucking weirdo.
Because he's such a fucking weirdo who ruled kids television for like a decade there, and it's like, how the hell did anyone let this happen?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what my week looked like. What about yours, Matt?
Me, well, as we were talking about before, we started the show. I've started dabbling in emulators a little bit more. I've tried them in the past, and they never really worked out for me. But for some reason now, like, it's just all fucking working. Like, everything I've tried so far has just worked perfectly. I got like I was, because obviously you need like a controller to play. You can play with keyboard and stuff, but it's really dicky. I tried my third-party Switch controller, and it just fucking worked. It synced all the buttons and everything, and I'm
Nice.
like, holy shit, this is so cool.
Yeah, there's a whole world out there of really awesome emulation if you're willing to put in the time to figure it out and everything. I know I said before I had sprung for the money for an Ein Odin that I ordered from China. It's a little handheld number with like a Snapdragon processor and everything that you can play shit on. And God willing, it'll be here, between now and 6 months from now. It's a whole thing. But yeah, it looks super cool. I know there's like so much great stuff that like you can't get anywhere else or can't even get in the form that you would want to play it in, like the original Grand Theft Autos, like the old Silent Hills you were telling me about.
Yeah, I like trying to find any Silent Hill games on any console that you can at least try and play it on is hard, because if you do find them, they're obviously really overpriced,
Yes.
because they don't make them anymore. So to like have them be able to play them on emulators in kind of the way they were meant to be played, like on pretty much an emulation of the console they were originally on, is great, and it allows me to play games I haven't played for 15 years.
Oh, I hear you.
Yeah.
I was right. I was right into Def Jam. I was into the old PS2 Punisher game from Violation.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
like way better than you think.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great stuff out there that that they would never release again, and it's such a shame. It speaks a lot to a problem with the gaming industry that they're not doing as much as they should to like maintain their history, right? Imagine if there was like amazing paintings that you just couldn't see because they're like, sorry, the wall can't handle these.
It's really weird how like a lot of the companies, specifically Nintendo, they'll release these games like Mario 64 and all that, but they'll only do it for like a short time. Then nope,
Yeah.
we're taking that back into the vault, and you're never going to see that again. Like, it's so strange.
It's a weird Disney thing. It's like, so you could do these, but you're choosing
Yeah.
not to.
Yeah, you could do these. You know that there's a market for them because you see people always talking about them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so strange.
It's so weird, and hey, it speaks to something too, even in this day and age, where it's like, oh, but I bought a digital copy of this. I bought a digital copy of those Grand Theft Autos. Well, it's a good thing you did, because they took them off Steam because they want you to buy the brand new, greatly inferior remastered editions or complete editions that aren't really complete at all. It's like, oh, we don't own our digital media at all, do we? We are kind of at the whim of these corporations who will just do whatever the hell they want with them.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked.
And again, a conversation everyone's been having a lot recently after what's been going on with HBO Max and Warner Brothers Discovery, and just whole animated series they're scrubbing, not just from their streaming service, which was supposed to be a library that had everything, but also completely scrubbing it from iTunes and their YouTube channel, basically making it like it doesn't exist.
Yeah, but getting rid of all of Cartoon Network's videos and stuff like that, which is really funny, because when you if you know, like, Cartoon Network was created as a way to preserve and archive all of the old cartoons that Ted Turner originally had access to.
Yep, hard to believe, right? That's shocking how we are moving backwards, basically just because it sounds like one guy's a jackass.
Yeah, I don't know what his, like, is he planning on like selling them off?
That's the theory, is he just depreciating this shit so much that he's just gonna cut up the company and sell it for parts.
But it's really funny because, like, in depreciating them, I think he like I saw what was that one I saw, Infinity Train?
Yeah,
because it got taken off, it had like shot to like the top of like iTunes charts and like like Amazon and all that sort of stuff. So it's like, is that like part of his method?
Yeah, is this like some weird like three-dimensional chest? Like, if I threaten to take it away, then they're gonna want it that much more. Infinity Train is a really interesting case too. I only watched the first season. I really enjoyed it, but it's this thing where it's like the fans of that show specifically feel like such a sense of ownership over it, because they basically pushed and petitioned it to get made, because it was like a little pilot back when the Cartoon Network YouTube channel would have pilots. They pushed for it to get made. They got, I think it was like 3 or 4 seasons, I can't quite recall. Then it got canceled. Then they pushed even harder to try and get it back, and now it's being taken away from them. And it's like, geez, you guys really woke with a sleeping fandom dragon on this one. I would not mess with Infinity Train fans, and also now I feel like I need to go back and finish Infinity Train too.
Try and get a hold of it.
Well, hey, not for nothing, but I heard on the streets there's a person out there, Hanna-Barbera Screen Caps, who's literally going around with like a Google Drive with 4 seasons of the show on there, just because it's like, hey, watch it now before they take it away.
That's cool. That's cool.
Also, hey, as the chat is saying, yeah, they also took away 200 episodes of Sesame Street, which is fucking horrifying. Again, if you know the history of Sesame Street and the Henson Company and everything, they always wanted Sesame Street to be free to children everywhere, as something to bring them all together. Apparently, you can actually still watch them free on the Sesame Street website, the new ones.
Yeah, it's so strange seeing all these things just up and disappear. It reminds me of like years and years and years and years and years ago, the BBC, the British Broadcasting Company,
yes.
They apparently, what they would do was they would wipe tapes to reuse them.
Yes, and this is why we lost all those Doctor Who's.
That's why we lost all those Doctor Who's, and it's a reason we all actually almost lost Monty Python's, I think, Flying Circus, or like one of their shows, but it was either Terry Gilliam or John Cleese, or one of them actually managed to like smuggle the tapes out and make copies of them. So it's why we still have those sorts of things.
So literally the official people involved took part in piracy as a way to preserve art for future generations.
Hey, if that's the only way you can do it,
I know, right? Again, hey, not all pirates were evil. Let's call that privateering is what we're doing. We're privateering art for future generations.
Yeah.
Again, too, I think the Infinity Train guy in his interview said, the most disappointing part about them, nuking all these animated shows isn't even that we lose out on residuals, because here's the thing about residuals. Those don't go to us. Those go to our union to pay for our health care in the States. So they basically came after our health care.
That was another thing I heard people saying, is that if they kept these shows on and kept them around, it would mean they would have to pay out the residuals, but just getting rid of them, just going full scorched earth, means they don't have to do that.
Yes, and literally when you break it, it's pennies. They're doing this to save pennies, which makes me think how fucking expensive was this goddamn merger then between Discovery and Warner Brothers that you're nuking everything you can?
Well, not only that, how much fucking debt did WB actually have? I know someone mentioned that it was in the billions, but how many billions?
It seems like a lot now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And yeah, as the chat says, makes you worry about the future for stuff like Harley Quinn, Young Justice, which people were asking Greg Wiseman all week, and he was loudly saying, no, they haven't renewed us.
Yeah. That's probably going to be next.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to renew that one, because Young Justice, as much as we loved it, that one was also always kind of on the bubble.
Yeah.
It got resurrected two regimes ago. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, man. It's weird. It's weird times in streamable media, weird times in art creation in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the stuff, we're basically seeing the lie of streaming come true, where it's like, oh yeah, spend this much on streaming and you'll have an ever-living library that you can ever access. Well, instead, when we say we don't want you to.
Yeah, not really, yeah.
Yeah. And suddenly all those weirdos who still bought DVDs are like, I told you so. You thought I was crazy. You didn't believe me because I still buy my Blu-rays. Well, I guess that guy has a point. I'm sorry, crazy old mountain man. I guess you really did show us the way. But yes, believe it or not, everyone, we are actually a comic book podcast, and we do actually have comic book news. And because we've been away for 2 weeks, we actually have a lot to cover.
Mm-hmm.
But before we do any of that, Matt, we actually have a sponsor this week. I know it's been a long time since we've had one.
We do have a sponsor.
Yeah, normally the show is just brought to you by viewers like you, patrons, people who, give money here in the chat when we go live. But this time, we have an actual sponsor. It's not a company. It's actually an old friend of ours. It's Tom Carter, who you'll remember. Maybe you would listen to us all talk together on podcasts back when we worked for Name Redacted. But he's out there working hard as a colorist right now, and he's got a brand new Indiegogo Kickstarter campaign going on right now called Rise of the Sky Titans. It's from Mega Comics Publishing. That's comics with an X, in case you're wondering.
Oh, it's extreme.
It's very extreme. I'm sure Matt, when he re-edits this later, he'll be sure to put some pictures up for all of you to see. But yes, I'm looking at the picture of it right now there. There's 3 alternate covers going on. And Rise of the Sky Titans, we got a little blurb here. In the near future, a small band of monster hunters, a former U.S. Army Ranger, a hit woman, and a plucky girl who can turn into a werewolf with a magical badge stop a cannibalistic assassin hired by the mob from taking a powerful talisman. Meanwhile, a shadowy organization documents their every move. Now, if you're looking at the picture like I am here, and I'm sure as Matt is putting up, this has a wonderful grindhouse feel to it. And to Tom's credit, the colors look really nice.
They do, yeah, they look great.
Yeah, colors look nice and everything. So if you want to support a friend of the show, if you want to support indie comic creation by people who Matt and I vouch for, you can definitely do that now.
Yeah, there's no comic gators involved in this.
No. It's all good and clean and vouched for by us. So go check that out. Tell Tom we said hello. And in the future, if anyone else out there also wants us to champion their project, you too can buy ad space here on the Comic Multiverse for very reasonable prices.
You can. Just don't... No NFTs.
Yes, no fucking... Yeah, we're not going to open the door
I've
to
had that recently with people offering, sponsor this new Marvel game. And I'm like, no, it's a fucking blockchain piece of shit.
I know, isn't it always? But yes, you too can sponsor the show as well, and you too can have your own couple minutes of fame here on the show if you want. And another person who's having a couple minutes of fame is Captain Coon, longtime fan, who's helping us out there with $5. Hey man, those Blu-rays can be used as projectile weapons in the dark apocalypse we're headed towards. Yeah, I guess so. You could make like, what is it, in Fallout you have that gun that fires records?
Yeah.
Is that what I was thinking of, or is that one of the Far Cry games that it shoots records?
I think maybe I can't fucking remember. They all bleed together.
Or did that one shoot CDs? I know Saints Row is the one that shoots dubstep. Yeah, you're right. All these games and their crazy weapons bleed together, but it's one of them.
It's one of them.
I promise it's one of them. So yeah, check that out. And with that out of the way, we can hop on to the news proper. And like I said, there's a lot going on. Starting things off, the future of the Flashpoint movie. Matt, there was some actual movement on that this week.
A little bit, yeah. Ezra Miller didn't terrorize anyone, at least that we know of.
Apparently they cornered Ezra Miller. Apparently, they set a trap for them. It's like one of them Looney Tunes traps with the big box and the stick, and they were able to, grab them.
They put a small child under it,
Yes, there you go. They were able to get him in the back of a white panelless van and bring him back to Burbank to talk about what the hell they were going to do. This comes on the heels of an article saying that internally at Warner Brothers, they were kicking around 3 ideas. Either get Ezra to apologize, which seems to be what they're working towards right now, completely reshoot the movie, which they're probably not going to do, and completely cancel the movie, which they were probably going to never do. Ezra did make a statement, though I would not call it apology. It's basically like, and I feel terrible for all the people who I have upset. What about the people you assaulted and robbed and potentially kidnapped?
You're literally physically assaulting people,
Yeah, you're a one-person crime wave. Again, I bet you $100 Ezra Miller did not make that statement. That was a studio statement.
Oh yeah, that was like his agent or something. He had no
some shit.
No part in that because again, he's probably traveling around America with his bulletproof vest and gun.
Yeah. Yes, in their weird cult setup there. But yeah, apparently word is that they are going to be seeking treatment for their complex mental problems. Though I should hope they also seek treatment on being an asshole, because I think even if you are mentally unstable, I think a lot of this behavior just comes down to you being an asshole, Ezra.
Yeah.
Is what this really was. But I guess they're hoping that they can maybe, salvage the movie and still release it and have them do press and have it not be a total nightmare for them. An interesting thing too about the article that came out was they're like, oh, Ezra Miller's mother is with them now for this, and I'm like, oh, is that how they got them back? They're like, look, we can't pay them enough money to come in and fix this problem, but if we pay his mother or their mother a bunch of money, maybe, you know, they can work that magic that only mothers can to call and guilt trip Ezra to coming into work.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, geez, you know, if you wanted to get me, you know, just have my mother blow up my phone and guilt trip me. That would do it. But yeah, so the Flashpoint movie continues to limp along in this weird friggin' Schrodinger's cat state.
Yeah, it's really strange, like, because the movie's still, like, over a year out. Like, it comes out in a year, so, like, so much shit could still happen in that year. He could, again, he says all this, and then just immediately spiral again, and we'll have another Hawaiian crime wave.
I know, right? Again, you know, they could leave. I mean, they could leave rehab or the mental institution or wherever they have put them. There's no saying that, you know, Ezra just couldn't run away or that this couldn't take. They're really hoping that they can fix all of this in a year. It's funny, you know, I was actually surprised to hear Miller go, oh, you know, I'm going to be working on my mental illness. I assumed they were going to go with the much more classic celebrity fuck up deflection. And that is like, oh, I am an alcoholic.
Yeah, I was inebriated or something. Yeah.
Yes. I am an alcoholic is what it was. The frickin' it worked for Mel Gibson, right? That's my Tiger Woods. I'm a sexaholic. That's my problem. I can't be held accountable for the things that I have done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if it is a thing that can be helped, I mean, more power to them. But at the same time, I think they're going to have a reckoning of like, yeah, but a lot of your behavior was just you being an asshole. Yeah. Like, we have video footage of you choking a woman.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of video footage of him doing his various villainous deeds. But yeah, I assume just after this film comes out, we're not going to see him as Flash ever again.
No. I mean, I think they basically said as much. Warner Brothers, you know, we're severing ties with Miller.
Yeah.
Now, keeping in the realm of DC news, of course, you said, Matt, you know, what's the future, you know, post Flashpoint, post everything else? They sure seem to be putting a lot of time and effort and focus on it. We had heard a couple weeks ago, you know, from Zaslav and from the higher-ups at Warner Brothers, they wanted to find their own Kevin Feige surrogate, and one of the names floated around is a name we know quite well, Greg Berlanti.
Yeah, and everyone was quick to say this is absolutely terrible, but it really isn't.
It is not, is the thing, and I am the last person I thought would be defending Greg Berlanti. As I have said time and time again, my YouTube career basically started talking mad shit about the Green Lantern movie that he was involved in. And yet, despite all of that, the dude actually seemed to have taken that failure in stride, didn't get bitter about it, didn't get salty about it. He just got to work making the CW DC universe the powerhouse that it was for all the years that it was. And whether you loved or hate those shows, you cannot deny that they were very successful for a long time and accomplished more than the friggin', you know, movies did.
Oh, yeah, he was able to, like, crossover, you know, Flash, and Arrow, then Flash, and like, Supergirl, then all of the shows together with all these different comic book set crossovers, like the Elseworlds, the Earth X, then Crisis on Infinite Earths, and managed to somehow pull that off on a TV budget.
Yep. Now imagine that same man if he had an actual budget to work with and more creative control.
Yeah.
I think you could do a lot worse, and also I am a fan of the redemption story. I am a fan of the redemption arc, and I think there's something kind of beautiful about the guy who helped tank the future of DC movies back in 2011, gets invited back, and actually saves them all this time in 2022.
It's funny looking in hindsight at that Green Lantern film, because like you look at it now and you're like, huh, if they started the cinematic universe there, it would have been a very good start, but like at least they could have built to something.
Or something, yeah. I mean, the idea that they spent like $100 million on it and then hard pivoted with Superman later, because like that and Superman actually came out like not that far apart.
No, not at all.
And like there was talk where it's like, well, maybe these are in the same universe, maybe not. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Green Lantern failed. It was a massive laughing stock, and they're like, well, okay, I guess we really kind of got to go the direction of Snyder and Man of Steel where it's taking us. And, well, I mean, we all saw where that road ended.
Yeah, and still seeing where that road ends. It ends with Ezra Miller choking women.
Yeah, really, for real. Jesus Christ. What a crazy ride it's been. I mean, yeah, I think they can do a lot worse than Greg Berlanti, honestly.
Yeah.
I think they can do much worse. Now, again, keeping it on the CW, as we were. Again, we got all the best segues this way, Matt. This is what happens when, we don't do news for 2 weeks. Superman and Lois, we're loving that show. Apparently, its future is still safe, from all we understand.
Yeah, it's just about to start season 3, yeah.
Yeah, just about to start season 3 very soon, though season 3 is going to look a lot different than season 1 and 2, and that is because there has been a huge recast happening.
Huge last-minute recast.
Huge last-minute recast. John Kent will be recast moving forward, which is a shame because I liked that actor and I liked what he brought to the role of John.
Yeah, Jordan Elsas wasn't too bad. He was pretty good as Jonathan Kent.
How confusing is it that the actor who plays John's name is Jordan?
I know.
That's really fucking confusing. I wonder why did he leave? Is this like the reason that other people have left CW shows before? They hate the schedule, they're getting better deals, and they want to like get them now while they can instead of being tied down to a show?
There's no definitive answer, but there's like stuff going around. Like apparently it was for personal reasons.
That's a shame.
Another one was, and stuff that I've seen is that he's very anti-vax and he's right on the edge of that tipping over into fucking Ben Shapiro, all that bullshit.
That's a shame.
And the thing I heard was that they allowed him. They were cool with it. They were like, okay, we'll give you just arrived 2 weeks early to do your quarantine, all that sort of stuff, and he never showed up.
Oh yeah, can't put up with that, especially on a CW show where they work so close together for such a long period of time. If everyone is not a team player on that, if someone gets sick, if he gets like Hoachland sick, then like that's not gonna be good.
The other one I heard is that it had to do with like mental problems and stuff, which
also a shame.
Again, obviously couldn't do the show because of that, and he wants to get help and everything. All more power to him. So again, it could be a combination of all these different things.
It could be. Ooh, that's unfortunate, especially because it feels like the show is really hitting its stride now. And it's just such a shame.
We ended season 2 with the whole reveal that he's probably going to end up getting like a cool like Kryptonian war suit to help with his family and everything.
Yeah, that he might get to have like his own like Nightwing suit or something. That's a heartbreaker.
Yeah.
That's a shame. Well, if he does need help, I hope he gets the help there, and I hope the new person they get is good. Do you think they'll make a funny little joke about it, like, "Oh, you've changed up. Puberty really hit you like a ton of bricks"?
I'm wondering how they're going to go with casting, because they literally start filming in like a week and a half, 2 weeks or something.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a thing. But yeah, so we'll keep you posted on that one as more news develops on it.
Yeah.
Now, moving on to the world of comics here, we got some brand new books coming courtesy of Marvel. Some brand new creative teams are going to be taking over. Dan Slott, of course, has been wrapping up his Fantastic Four run for a while now, and they've already announced the new writer. It's going to be Ryan North, a Canadian fellow who I don't think I've read any of his other books, but I've apparently followed him on Twitter forever.
Yeah, no, I don't think I've read any of his stuff either.
But I follow him on Twitter, so he must be clever and good. And yeah, he's going to be taking Fantastic Four over, which means I'm going to give Fantastic Four a chance again.
Nice.
Yeah, I definitely want to check that one out. I know you were reading the Slot run. Are you excited to keep reading?
Yeah. Well, I through Reckoning War and everything, Slot has done some really great stuff with not just the Fantastic Four, but like the Marvel Universe by like literally expanding it by opening up a new part of the universe that no one's ever been to before.
Right.
So it'll be fun to see his run end with like the Fantastic Four doing what they've always done and just like exploring new worlds and whatnot. So I wonder if North is going to continue that.
Right. The other new book that was getting a new creative team was Iron Man, Christopher Cantwell, of course, is coming to a close on that run, which you have loved a whole lot.
Oh yeah, it's going to be hard to follow.
Yeah, exactly. You were saying good stuff for that. Hey, thank you, new follower. I just saw that there. You spoke quite highly of that. Maybe I'll finally now get a chance to read it. But hey, one of our favorites on the show, real workman, unsung hero of comic books, Jerry Duggan, is going to be taking over the book, and it's going to be called Invincible Iron Man again.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. Again, Duggan is probably one of the most workman-like creators out there.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see what he's going to be doing, especially following up on Cantwell's amazing run, as well as having to deal with all the stuff Cantwell's going to leave over, because obviously Tony at the moment doesn't have his company anymore. He's just fresh out of rehab. Yeah,
Now, if I remember, too, Duggan, of course, was writing... what is it? One of the Avengers books that wasn't really Avengers. It was Avengers and X-Men together. What the hell was that called again? Oh, Uncanny Avengers.
Uncanny, yeah.
He wrote that back in the day. He touched on some Iron Man stuff, and he was also the only guy who continued to write the whole Hank Pym Ultron stuff. I wonder if we're going to see any of that make a reappearance here, because it feels like Pymtron's been pretty quiet.
Yeah, we haven't really seen anything of that Pymtron, like, at all. Even, like, Hank Pym, who's technically involved in the actual Ant-Man book that's going on at the moment, but it's like a weird, like, oh, it's the version from, like, back when he was first created, so it's not like Pymtron.
Yeah, he's not the guy. Yeah, I definitely would like to see that come back, because I know Duggan seemed to think like, oh, Pymtron actually makes like a good antagonist for Iron Man, because they're both smart guys with robot parts.
Yeah, yeah.
And also because, they both have the, big, long Avengers connection.
Yeah, I tell you, it'd be a good pull to after, like, Michael Korvac and all those people, yeah.
Yeah, keep the big foes coming. Not to be outdone, DC also had some new books that they were going to be announcing. One that really surprised the shit out of me, Mark frickin' Silvestri of The Darkness and other book fames is going to be writing a Batman miniseries called Batman Joker: The Deadly Duo.
Cool, but I don't give a shit because it's another fucking Batman book.
I know, right? It's funny, it feels like they didn't even really, stress the Batman part of this article. They're like, oh, Mark Silvestri writing a DC book. Oh, cool, what's he writing? Oh, another Batman one? All right.
Yeah.
It's like, you got me super high, and then you brought me low again.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it'll probably be cool. Again, I like Silvestri. I feel like he hasn't written anything at the big two in like a million years, so here's hoping he's got a good pitch. So yeah, we'll keep you posted on that. Furthermore, not to be outdone, Jeff Johns is like, hey, me too, and I have 3 new books I want to announce. So yeah, apparently spinning out of the pages of Flashpoint Beyond, which is still going on currently. We're going to be getting 3 new books from him. One is a one-shot called The New Golden Age, which I'm guessing is probably going to be setting up a new status quo for whatever the hell Flashpoint Dark Crisis ends up doing with stuff.
Yep, probably just like, new look at like what the timeline is now, basically.
Yeah. Then there's going to be the long-awaited JSA book that he has wanted to write forever since he was back in charge.
One we've had teased for, oh my god, I don't know how long it's been. Like, there was literally like a backup story about like, hey, yeah, the JSA are coming back.
Yeah. I wonder about that one, but especially because it's been in the works for so long, you hope that he really has had something to say and that he hadn't had to change it too much.
Yeah.
And the third and final one is Stargirl: The Lost Children, which I think sounds like it's going to be a sequel to that last Stargirl series he did that he also referenced in Flashpoint. And because the Stargirl show is coming back soon, it works out.
Well, he also did a Stargirl one-shot recently. It was summer... It was like a while ago. It was Stargirl Summer something.
Vacation, yeah. That's the one I was talking about.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, well, I think that like literally ended with like, hey, yeah, we're getting a Stargirl series.
Cowboy here. Did Robert Downey Jr. get paid for the comics while he played Iron Man because the character looks similar to him, image likeness? I don't think so. I think they changed him just enough so they didn't have to pay him.
Well, I think that's like comes in contracts and everything. Like, we're going to use your likeness for like brand synergy and shit.
I mean, like, comic artists love making characters look like actors all the time, and I think, like, if comics made more money, maybe, like, famous people would be more upset and go after them, but famous people don't read comics, so...
No.
Don't tell Vincent Cassell that Doctor Doom looked like him for a bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't tell Tommy Lee Jones that Norman Osborn looked like him for a bit. And that's the thing too, they only look that way for a bit.
For a bit, yeah.
For a bit until the arc changes. Again, we talked about Stargirl, which, you know, is a project that a lot of us were afraid, like, oh god, is this going to be safe under the Zaslav regime when he seems to be canceling anything that's too fun, stars a woman or a person of color? Another book that similarly we were all afraid of is Blue Beetle Graduation Day. That one's slated for November, and again, it's coming back to coincide with the movie that we all fucking hope actually gets released now.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see about that. I mean, if they were willing to kill Batgirl when it was 90% done, there's no telling that they wouldn't kill this one too, just because.
Yeah.
I wonder what they're going to do with Jaime in the comics, because it feels like every time they've tried to relaunch the book, it's never quite worked because fans don't want to read anything new with him. They just want the conclusion to the old book they never got.
Yeah, which in itself is kind of a problem. Like, you're getting you don't want the character to fucking move on and progress or anything.
It's really rough. I feel bad for people who have to write Blue Beetle, because you ask Blue Beetle fans, it's like, what do you want? Well, I want the old series that I loved so much and fell in love with. You know, I want them to finish that. Okay, but they can't, though. What else do you want? I don't know.
Yeah. Nothing new.
Again, well, it's like, well, we can't just do the Reach again, but maybe we should because people like that stuff. If I was them, and maybe they'll do this because there's something in the water. Obviously, the Charlton heroes are kind of popular again because of, Peacemaker?
Mm-hmm.
Make the Blue Beetle book a stealth Charlton hero reunion book. Like, have Peacemaker show up and, like, Kung Fu Master and our Judo Master and all those other people.
That'd be pretty cool.
Concoct a reason for them to show up and hang out with each other. It's Blue Beetle's book. He leads it. It's just his adventures just so happen to have him cross paths with all these Charlton heroes.
Yeah. And then Captain Atom shows up and just blows up for no reason because that's what he does.
That's all he does in every single appearance. Also, was that even Captain Atom? Oh, no, that was a Captain Atom from another universe who was living here, so you've technically blown up multiple Captain Atoms. Well, there's your story right there. He shows up at Jaime's. It's like, you gotta help me, Blue Beetle's smart. I can't stop blowing up all over the place. And Jaime's like, you got the wrong Blue Beetle one, man. I'm not the one who hung out with you back in the day. Ah, shit, blows up. But then he comes back together, and then he blows up again, and it's just Jaime being like, well, shit, I gotta get this guy's whole team together to stop him from blowing up.
Yeah.
See, look, that's a story. We wrote a story, Matt.
Yeah, but it's not the old story, so it sucks.
No, it's not the Reach and Black Beetle and all the other stuff. Though, ironically, Peacemaker was in the run that everyone likes. I think that was the first series that actually brought him back out of obscurity after, like, decades away.
Nice.
Yeah, and it was the Christopher Priest one, too.
Cool.
Or, sorry, Christopher, not Priest, that's the writer. I'm saying, like, what Peacemaker's real name is.
Yeah, Chris Smith?
Yeah, Smith. Yeah, it's Smith. I love my brain just auto-completed. It's like, yeah, Christopher Priest. So Christopher Priest, the comic writer, is the new Peacemaker. He's the new
Peacemaker. Yeah. John Cena is out.
Yeah, he's out. Christopher Priest, the older comic writer, is in. He's wearing the helmet. He's like, I'm actually a priest in real life, too. That's just not a funny name thing. I'm actually ordained. And then he shoots people with a Desert Eagle. It's great. Now, the X-Men also had a new book, too, because it's been like 2 months and they haven't announced a new X-Men book in a bit.
Yeah, they were straying in there for a minute.
They were. Though really, this isn't a new book so much as it is a continuation of one that's already going on, which is another thing they're doing with the X-Men books now, where it's like, it's a new series. Actually, it's a sequel.
Yeah.
It's called Sabretooth and the Exiles. It's going to be a 5-part miniseries that, of course, continues after the events of the Sabretooth book, and it's him and all the other mutants who got sent to the center of Krakoa for whatever reason, including Nanny and Orphan Maker.
Yeah, well, I fell off that series, but like, did he end it with like him still being like technically like Krakoan Satan?
I only read issue 1, but I'm gonna guess yes. If it's Sabretooth and the Exiles, I'm guessing he's still gonna be Mutant Satan.
Nice.
Also, too, I guess Toad would still be there, too, because Toad technically took the rap for Magneto for killing Wanda, so he's, like, the only innocent guy there, as far as I know.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be interesting. I never thought I'd say that. Man, I'm interested in Toad's journey. Want to know what's going on with Toad, wrongly convicted Toad.
Yeah, did you see that also started announcing, like, there was some big event for the mutants coming up. They were like
really?
teasing it, and they teased it with, it was just like it was like those those interlude pages you get in the X-Men books.
Yes.
It was like one of them, and it was just like big letters that just said SOS.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and the O was red.
Oh,
whatever that means.
Thinking that's like an X-Men Red or like Omega Red, but no, he was already the villain of like the last Wolverine event. They can't keep bringing him back.
Yeah.
Clay Decker helping us out. I haven't watched Young Justice since around episode 14 of the new season. Is it worth finishing or should I not bother? No, you should definitely finish it because they end the show in a nice place. They bookend it very nicely with Connor and Megan. They if that was the last episode, they ended it on a good thematic note because episode 1 is them saving friggin' Superboy, and the final episode is Superboy basically going on to the next stage of his life.
Nice.
Yeah, and you get real fight scenes with Zod. There's a great scene at the end where Superman and Superboy team up to fight Zod and Lord Zod and his kid, and it's great.
Cool.
I liked it a whole lot. It's pretty good. What else we got going on after that? More new Marvel stuff. Deadpool is getting a brand new #1 again. Feels like forever since Deadpool's had an ongoing series, huh?
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. I guess he kind of had that like anthology running for a little bit.
Yeah. I think it was good that we hadn't had a main in continuity Deadpool for a while. I think when those two movies were coming out, we kind of tapped out on Deadpool pretty hard.
Yeah, and we had that really great run by was it Jim Zug or Jerry Duggan who wrote it after?
It was Duggan.
Yeah, he wrote it after Secret Empire, and it was just so good.
Yeah, we had a couple smaller runs after that, but they just couldn't compare. And I think for a lot of people, they're like, no, Duggan ended it too well. I can't keep going.
Yeah.
But, we got a new one here courtesy of Alessa Wong, and she pitched it as a body horror romance.
Okay.
Which works for me. I'm like, all right, that sounds like nothing else I'm reading right now. Sign me up for this, please.
Yeah, Deadpool recently, he came back in this week's X-Force book.
Oh, DC, I dropped off on X-Force.
See, I picked it up because they said it was a Judgment Day tie-in. Had fucking nothing to do with Judgment Day. It was all about fucking Kraven.
Yeah, we'll get into that too when we talk about Judgment Day stuff and tie-ins, because they're doing a weird thing with their tie-ins, and I don't know if I like it. Moreover, from that, G. Willow Wilson's Poison Ivy series, which I have heard great things about, is actually going to get extended to 12 issues now.
Cool.
Which means, shit, I guess I should go back and read it if it really is that good. DC rarely goes back and says, oh yeah, we're extending this run.
Yeah, they recently did it to the Saladin Ahmed Swamp Thing book.
Yes.
Not Saladin Ahmed, Ram V, sorry.
Yes, and I think before that they did it with that Wonder Twins book you liked so much.
Yes.
So clearly there must be something special there. And also, I haven't read anything by G. Will Wilson in a very long time, which is a shame because I friggin' loved her so much in those original Miss Marvel years.
Yeah.
Moving on from there, Donny Cates teases a brand new Thanos Thor-centric story, which he's basically been planting the seeds of since his book began.
Yes, he has. This is obviously going to be the big payoff of those visions of the Mjolnir wielding
Thanos at the end of the world.
Thanos with the Infinity Stones, and fuck yeah.
Well, apparently how it starts is it's going to start with Thor actually going back in time to be present for Thanos' origins.
Okay, cool.
So we're getting a time travel story, and I'm guessing this is also Donny Cates putting his own stamp on Thanos' origin and maybe retconning some stuff here and there. Maybe they're going to work in more Eternal shit now because that seems to be the way the winds are blowing.
Probably, yeah.
Again, it's funny. There's actually been two really excellent Thanos origin stories. There's the one that Jason Aaron did, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what that one's called, but that one's really great. And then Mariko Tamaki, I think, came back later and did one that was like focusing on like the early days of Thanos and Gamora when he like adopted / kidnapped her.
Yeah, there was also that really cool one that was done as the Eternal tie-in for the Eternals book that recently ended. It was Thanos. Was it Thanos Rising or Thanos Rises or something like that?
Yeah, one of
It was like a
those, yeah.
one shot that like showed his birth and everything and why he got cast out, and it was really fucking good.
That was also good, and that one directly references the Jason Aaron Thanos book, which was definitely called Thanos Rising. I think that one was called Thanos Rise.
Yeah.
So there's actually like a lot of really fucking good Thanos origin stories. How about that? He's like the Superman of crazy purple space monsters. Where it's like, oh, geez, another origin? Oh, but this origin actually sounds pretty good, so all right.
Yeah, yeah.
Which means I will also need to get caught up on friggin' Thor now, because I fell off it because Banner of War, I wasn't ready for it. And I didn't have time to catch up on everything, so I just stopped. And now I'm like, oh, well, but I gotta read this, though, because this is what this has all been, you know, leading toward.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't not know where this is going, because also, as we've said before, that Thanos at the end of the world with the Necro Sword is also pretty true to, like, a story that's been a thread in a bunch of different Donny Cates books.
Yeah, he's in everything Donny Cates has written at Marvel is connected in some way.
Because, you know, Thanos Wins, which I think was one of his first big books.
Yep.
Is Thanos being the last one at the end of the world where he wins, and this looks to be leading to that future wherein he wins.
Yeah, yeah.
And that, of course, that was the future that spawned the Cosmic Ghost Rider and everything else, because that's the story that was from.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, it's
that I'm actually, I'm really interested to see how that pays off. And it was Teenie Howard who did that Gamora book. Yes, thank you, Jaden. That was also a really good one. Check out that Thanos origin story. But yeah, I want to check out that story, and then I almost want to do like a video to be like the secret story in Donny Cates' works, where it's like, look, let's follow this story as it goes.
I'm hoping he brings back the Inhumans, because he was the one who killed them off.
Yes, he did.
Killed them off, quote unquote. He did. They none of them died, but yeah, he's the one who kind of like shelved them for a little bit. So and that was kind of also tied in with all this sort of stuff as well.
Yes, it was.
So
it sure was. It's all connected, man.
Yeah.
It's all connected. There's two things Cates wants to do. He wants to bring back the Inhumans and maybe the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah. Oh fuck yeah, we got that shit to deal with as well. Holy shit.
That's another thing he keeps promising / threatening
the Maker and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, the Maker just left during that Venom book and is just hanging out in the ruins of what used to be the Ultimate Universe. And maybe he'll come back one day. Maybe he won't.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll see. Now what else we got going on here? Hey, speaking of big returns and sequels, Greg Pak is going to be returning for a Planet Hulk sequel called Return to Sakaar, where it's like, wait, didn't the Totally Awesome Hulk, didn't Amadeus Cho return to Sakaar? Yes, he did, but this is different now.
This is different now because there's probably going to be a Planet Hulk movie or TV show coming soon.
Or something. Yes, that is the hot rumor about Hulk, and that will actually take us into talking about She-Hulk that dropped this week. But yes, the rumor around the campfires now is that Marvel Disney may finally have worked out a deal with Universal to untangle the tangled web that is Hulk rights.
Yep.
That they may have finally bought them or got them back or something, and their big plan is to maybe actually have a real deal Planet Hulk movie. And I'm sure people are saying, but wasn't Thor Ragnarok Planet Hulk? It took reference from it, but there's nothing that says you can't do it again.
Yeah, yeah. Just have it set on a slightly... You do it on that on the thing again. Bring it back to Donny Cates and stuff. He created a great gladiatorial arena that was in like the hand of like a dead celestial. He stood on that world.
Or hell, it wouldn't even be that hard. And again, I can't believe the people, other comic book YouTubers even, not to name names, were like, oh, they'll never be able to do it because, you know, they've ruined the Hulk now because, you know, he's like smart and he's not angry and everything and he makes jokes.
We'll get to that.
And I'm like, guys, you absolutely can't. You're just not thinking big enough. You need to be galaxy brained like me. Here's what you do. The Red King is the villain. He took over Sakaar while Hulk was gone.
Yeah.
And now Hulk has to come back and fight his way up in the gladiatorial arena like he did once before to save the planet. And you bring in all the other characters that you didn't get in Love and Thunder and in Thor Ragnarok. It's really that easy if you try.
Yeah, yeah.
And you make that the first story where Hulk's like, oh, I thought I had it under control, but oh, my anger is coming back and it's never been the same like this. Oh,
the green door is opening.
The green door is opening. I'm savage once again. And people will fucking love that. Or maybe they won't, because people were all pissy and weird when they made Scarlet Witch act like how Scarlet Witch acts in the comics.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, guys, she's been a villain for almost as long as she's been a hero. She always goes nuts and bad shit happens.
Yeah, yeah.
That's literally what they're adapting. That's what most of her stories is about. I'm not saying it's a great look for her, and a lot of times those stories aren't great, but that's what they have to adapt.
They're being true to the character, yeah.
Yeah. Captain Kuhn, didn't the original Scar, Son of Hulk book end with Galactus eating the planet? Yeah, but then, what is it, like the Time Stone or something brought it back in Totally Awesome Hulk. It was a whole thing. And then I think maybe the planet stuck around after that. I didn't actually read the Totally Awesome Hulk, but I know because of, like, stone shit that was happening in, like, a Doctor Strange book, the planet got to come back, and, like, the Super Skrull got to live again. It was a whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Yeah.
But yes, what I'm saying is you can totally do that. And hey, a return to Sakaar might actually not sound so crazy because as we saw in She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, episode 1 that dropped this week,
yep.
Instead of a gangland shooting that makes it so that Jennifer Walters gets exposed to her cousin's gamma blood, it's a weird Sakaar scout ship that makes the two cousins have a car accident.
Yeah, that was there apparently maybe sort of looking for Hulk.
Yeah, exactly. For some reason that we don't know. And again, hey, I'm saying maybe they need their champion back. Maybe some dickhead Red King took over.
Yeah, maybe he has a son who wants some child support.
Oh, how about that? Yeah, that's your story there. Hulk goes and fights in the arena and finds out, what do you mean I have a kid? What do you mean I fathered a child while I was gone?
His son is the Red King.
Oh, shit. That's a direction they could go if they wanted.
Because remember they mentioned that time works different on Sakaar.
Didn't they? Oh, they could make great use of that, couldn't they?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he's an adult by the time you get there, and now it's Hulk trying to reconnect with his adult son.
Yeah, his son ends up being the Savage Hulk.
Yeah, oh, that's fun too. Yeah, because now you got spin-off potential.
Yeah.
Hell, work Beta Ray Bill in there too, why don't you? Like he was in the original comic. Yeah, have fucking Beta Ray Bill, why don't you? I like that. But yeah, so She-Hulk, season 1, episode 1. What did we think, Matt?
I thought it was great.
I thought it was great too. It's funny and it has a tone that is completely different from all the other Marvel stuffs.
Yeah, it's really funny. Again, it's just as I say, it's a lawyer show. Yep. It's a comedy.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what it is.
It's great because it kind of does both. You get like the workplace legal comedy, and then you also get a whole segment of the show that's like, okay, let's answer some burning questions about Hulk, because Hulk doesn't have his own movies to answer these questions, but they do it in such a funny MCU like hand wavy. We're giving you an answer, but it's a joke answer too, where he's like, yep, and that's how I healed my hand from the Infinity Gauntlet. Yep, and I built this thing, and this is what allows me to, be Banner when I want to be sometimes. And that's all you need, man. Again, I love all these comic YouTubers who have, like, these big, crazy, interconnected theory videos, and I'm like, man, it's never that complicated in the movies.
No.
They have weapons-grade hand-wavium for every problem, and that's all you need, because when you get too in the fucking weeds, you get, infinity unities and shit.
Yeah, and again, they've got to realize that these shows aren't just catered directly to them, that it's for a wider audience, and to, explain all this stuff like, oh yeah, no, so I locked away my, Hulk self in the green door, and all that stuff. No, fuck that. Arm thing.
Yeah, we got to answer this question so we can move on and have fun times about whether or not Steve Rogers is a virgin or not.
Yeah. Captain America fucks, yeah.
He definitely fucks. fucks for America is what he does. Because he's a good boy and a patriot. Also, as Captain Kun corrected me, Beta Ray Bill was in the animated movie. He was replacing Silver Surfer. Yes, that's right. But hey, they could have Silver Surfer too, because they're working up to Fantastic Four shit.
There you go. Yeah, just having it appear there.
Yeah, why not? But yeah, it's a funny show. The main actress there, what's her name again? It keeps escaping me.
Tatiana Maslany.
Man, she has a great, like, every person quality to her, doesn't she?
She does, yeah. She feels like a normal person who's just thrust into this.
Yeah, which you need as these Marvel things keep going on and they get bigger and crazier and more outlandish. You need that grounding force. And Marvel was always good about that, making their heroes these grounding forces.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, again, like, yeah, they're all about, like, the street heroes and, like, the everyday people, whereas, like, DC's all, like, the gods and the superpowered people.
It's the world outside your window, and you believe a person like Jen could exist, especially because what I really love about this, and even though it is like a silly wackadoo comedy where like the Hulks do yoga and, you know, meditation and everything, what I really like about it, what I don't think a lot of people are giving that first episode credit for, is how it actually tackles, you know, the call to action, the call to heroism, and Jen straight up saying, nah, I don't want to be a hero. I don't want to be a Hulk. I've only seen you be a Hulk, and it ruined your goddamn life.
Yeah. You're hiding out on, like, a little peninsula, like, just because, like, you're both afraid of, like, the government and then of yourself.
Exactly. You know, that's no way to live. And also, too, you know, actually them giving Bruce a fair amount to do, where he's like, all right, I've literally written the book on Hulks and how to treat you and everything. And she's like, no, I don't need it because no two Hulks are made differently. And he's like, fuck. Again, so all this work I did was, you know, basically worth nothing, is what you're saying, because no two Hulks are created equal.
Yeah.
And also, you know, bringing up the importance of it, too, where it's like, you know, people are going to want to create more Hulks. They're going to want to weaponize what we are, so you have to be careful out there in the world.
And they've already seen it with, like, Emil Blonsky.
Who will be coming back in the show and will being a main player.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think. I love the courtroom stuff, and we only got a little of it because it was mostly like setting up origin stuff, but I love when just a D-list villain breaks in and has to get fought off. Yeah,
fucking Titania just breaks into the room and just starts trashing shit.
Love it, because that's the sort of shit that would happen in a comic book.
Yeah.
That's the sort of shit that would happen. I love that, like, Leapfrog is going to be in there, and Mantor, and, like, a bunch of losers.
Yeah, there's also a Chris Angel Mind Freak guy who's coming out, and his name is Donnie Blaze.
Aha.
Which people thought he was going to be Johnny Blaze.
That's funny. I'm all about that. Yeah, there's a lot to like about this show. It's given a completely different tone, a completely different energy. And it's funny, once again, much like with Taika Waititi, when people completely misinterpreted what he said about, like, oh, I didn't even know that Hercules was a Marvel character. Yeah, he's making a joke. He's a funny man making a joke.
Never take anything that man says in interviews seriously. He's New Zealander. He's a couple of degrees removed from an Australian. We take nothing fucking seriously.
Yeah, again, as I know from working with you, it's all dry piss takes. And again, it's funny. Oh, I didn't know Hercules was a Marvel character because he existed in mythology before, but also I'm a man making a Thor movie, so obviously I know that it's different, but I'm doing the thing. They got all up Gao's ass this week, who again is the woman who wrote the Pickle Rick episode of Rick and Morty, in case you're wondering. Because she's like, yeah, you know, writing courtroom scenes is hard, so I just chose not to do it. Again, she's making a joke about how, like, that's not what this show is. If you want an ultra dry legal procedural, watch Law and Order. This show isn't Law and Order. Or hell, watch that Daredevil show and it happens. I think they perfectly showed how they're going to be approaching the courtroom stuff in this episode, and that is, it's important to Jen. She builds up to it, but oh no, my Hulk life got in the way of it.
Hero life gets away. You can tell that's exactly, and that's the joke.
That's the show. That's the thing. Again, the way that people online just forever go out of their way to misinterpret shit that should be obvious.
Yeah, goddamn.
again. But yes, I liked the show. I'm excited to see where it goes from here. And again, hey, we mentioned Daredevil. We're going to be getting Daredevil. We're going to be getting the Wrecking Crew and Blonsky. You know, the best really does seem like it's yet to come.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see, and I know everyone else is excited to see Daredevil in the show, but I'm really excited to see how they got to do him. Like, because everyone seems to assume that Daredevil, he cannot be funny. He has to be super serious the entire time. And I'm just looking forward to, like, oh, please make it the Mark Waid one where he's wandering around in a shirt that says "I'm not Daredevil" and all that sort of stuff.
You know they are, and yeah, so many people just telling on themselves. I mean, like, you don't read the comics, do you? You don't know that when Daredevil started in that yellow suit, he was more of a swashbuckler.
Yeah.
He was more of, you know, a smart-ass, wry Spider-Man type. It's only later when Miller and Bendis and that succession of writers got a hold of him did they really, you know, double down on the darkness. And Nascenti even, you know, really doubling down on making him a film noir character. In fact, that's what's great about Daredevil, the fact that he can do both and hop back and forth.
Yes.
As the story dictates. Because, yeah, there's a lot of great, you know, Mr. Magoo comedy you can have with a blind guy who's also, you know, has the greatest senses in the world.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a hell of a thing. And yeah, I hope we get a cool little insight into, like, what Daredevil via the MCU might be.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see as well, like, what they're going to keep, like, in terms of canon with, like, his shows. And, like, because obviously we've had Fisk show up and it's still Vincent D'Onofrio and everything. Yes. So, like, what is going to be canon in the show to, like, this show?
I know they said, I think Woolridge, Karen Page there, I think they definitely got her back, I remember reading.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, no word on Foggy, though. I hope they get Foggy back, because he was a great Foggy.
Yeah, I hope they get him back, too.
I mean, assumedly, if they got Karen back, they got Foggy back.
Yeah, I would assume they would have gotten back, like, pretty much most of the core cast.
Yeah, I mean, unless he was really busy.
Is Scott Glenn going to come back as Stick?
Oh, man.
He was a great Stick.
He was fucking awesome. He perfectly embodied that character of, like, I'm a dirty old man.
Just fucking an asshole.
I'm just the biggest asshole, but you have to put up with me because I'm wise and know stuff that you need, and also because I'm, like, such an awesome fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scott Glenn doesn't get enough credit for how, like, awesome he was a Stick. And we'll be talking about Daredevil more later when we talk about what we read this week.
Yeah.
In fact, hey, do we want to hop into that then? So much came out this week, and I'm certain Matt and I both read, like, you know, a bunch of different stuff.
yeah, I know we read, like, a lot of the same stuff, but yeah, there's, like, books that I've read that I know you haven't been reading.
Yeah, it's a hell of a week. So where would we like to start, man? Should we start with Judgment Day, because that's the big event, and I know we've both been reading it?
Yeah, let's start with Judgment Day.
Okay, so we had the first, you know, new tie-in series, though it's not really a new tie-in series. It's basically just a continuation of Eternals. They just didn't call it that.
Yeah.
It's Axe Death to the Mutants, #1 of 3.
Yeah, and this and the X-Men issue really sold home what the event is going to be doing, which is we're going to be seeing a lot of the same events, but from all these different points of views, from the X-Men, the Avengers, and the Eternals, which is I quite like.
Yeah, I didn't read the X-Men one. I did flip through it, though, and I had a moment of, like, oh my god, are we seeing this fight again from another angle? How many angles can we see this one battle from?
Yeah, I'll talk about the X-Men one in a minute, but yeah, this one was basically the events of Judgment Day issue 2, but from kind of like the Eternals Machine's point of view. Yeah.
Yes, the Machine is back doing commentary, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
That's such a fun bit from the Gillen series. I love that it maintains here.
Yes, he compares this whole event to, like, a tabletop RPG where, like, each group involved has different, like, stats, and each one can, like, is better than the other, but they're not better than that one or something. Yeah.
It's also, Ajax and Cersei going back to Lemuria to find Icarus and all the other, you know, rebel Eternals, a.k.a. the movie-adjacent Eternals that you probably heard of.
Yes.
Yeah, where it's like, hey, guys, what have you been doing since this war started? Not much. We're still recovering from, like, Thanos blowing all this shit up.
Yeah. We haven't had time to sleep.
Yeah, well, we need your help because we're building God, so, get ready for that.
Yep.
I love to, Fastus, who, betrayed them all when this new series began, is distrustful of Ajax, where it's like, oh, yeah, you'd like that, wouldn't you? A new god who could free us from the principles and everything. I don't know if I can trust you. We all really can't trust each other. We all basically just take turns betraying each other,
I
don't we?
I like getting to see his like him working it out where it's like, wait, you kidnapped Mr. Sinister. Did you know this war was going to happen? Wait a minute. Did you start this war so you would have something to distract from you actually creating a god? What the fuck are you
Yes.
doing?
Which is what you wanted. They go into an ancient deviant graveyard and fight like a bunch of deviant ghosts, which is very cool. They also ask Crow, the leader of the deviants, where it's like, hey, would you like to maybe join us in this fight against Droog and saving the world? And he's like, meh, I'm not the sort of leader who can force my people into doing anything. If we do come, it's because they want it, which to me seems like a total signpost for like, yes, the deviants will get involved. Eternals and deviants will fight side by side, but later.
Yeah, a little late down the line. And it's cool that Gillen keeps building on this whole thing we've seen Icarus, where like once Icarus learnt the secret to like how Eternals are reborn and everything, how he's gone out of his way to like learn to not be a brute.
And to not kill people. I actually really respected that as well, too, where it's like, oh, yes, he's learning. Which I love that that's Icarus's characterization in this series. Yeah, he's kind of dumb.
But there's like good reason, because he just like he knew he'd be brought back to life, so he's like, well, why do I have to be safe? Why can't I just like punch things until they die or I die? Doesn't matter.
We also see that it was Icarus and the other Inhumans breaking into one of those like arsenal rooms,
Yes,
which helped them depower the Hex, which in turn helped the mutants turn the tide of battle on Krakoa. For one of those people who are saying like, oh, the mutants sure did defeat the Hex easily. Well, now we see that it was actually a fight on two fronts.
And the X-Men issue picks up on that thread where we see Jean get in contact with Icarus, and Icarus tells him, you got to strike these rooms, don't strike the Hex, we'll help you get into these rooms. And it's because we see at the end of the Death of Eternals how the mutants breach the armory.
Yeah.
We see in the X-Men book the other side of that, where they actually do breach it, and Synch and Iceman, because this is the first issue with that new team.
Oh yeah, I guess it would be, wouldn't it?
So it's kind of like a trial by fire. So it's like
Tell me about
Firestar, Iceman, Forge, Sync, Havoc. All these guys breach the armory and end up. They don't destroy it; they freeze it and basically make it really, really difficult to like undo what they did. So they can't use these weapons anymore, and that's why the Hex decide to leave.
Right, huh. Yeah, I saved that one till later when I flipped through it. I'm like, oh, this is just the same fight from another thing. Well, I'll save that till later in the week.
Yeah, if anything, it's cool to see how this team's going to be working together.
Yeah, I guess that would be the big.
And it's a pretty OP team.
Yeah, it sure seemed like it, didn't it?
Yeah.
What else did we have this week, Matt? What did we both share? What did we both read for sure?
Have you read World's Finest yet?
I have not, actually. I had a choice between that and Batman the Knight, and I chose the Knight.
World's Finest is so good.
Yeah, this is the big, we gotta find Robin, huh? Because we lost him in time while fighting Devil Nisa.
This was, I mean, technically you could call it a filler, but it's more a palate cleanser, because it's taken the stakes down from world-ending devil to carnies who may have stolen a bunch of money and are killing each other off because of greed.
Well, you had me at carnies, honestly. I'm not gonna lie.
So obviously Robin got trapped in the timeline somewhere. We find out that he actually ended up in the 1800s, and he ends up in Corto Maltese, because that's where the Tomb of Nezra is. He leaves Batman and that a message because he knows they'll be there, and he sees a circus in town, so he just decides to join the circus. And just because they're going to be in Corto Maltese for quite a while, so that's a good way to like earn some money while I'm just like waiting here for Batman and that to show up.
Yeah, fair enough.
And so he does his usual flying Grayson's routine. So and he finds that he's kind of missing that sort of environment where he's accepted for what he is. But during this, apparently all the people seem to think that a lot of the animals are killing Alakanis, and he doesn't think that that's what's happening. So he begins to sort of investigate, and he notes that the three new guys joined up when they arrived in Corto Maltese, and they were very eager to join up, and he's investigating them, and two of them end up dead because of the bear killed them. But he knows it's a little bit more, and then Batman and Superman turn up, and they end up joining in on like the circus act, and Superman's the strong man, and Batman's helping Robin do his Flying Graysons act and everything. And it's eventually revealed that one of the guys that joined up, or all three that joined up, were bank robbers, and they stole a bunch of money and joined the circus just to hide out until the heat died down. But then the greed got to them, and they started picking each other off one by one.
That sounds like a very golden age pulp story.
Yeah, and they end up setting like the tent on fire, and there's just chaos and everything, and Robin ends up stopping them, and yeah, it's just Robin saying like, hey, these carnies are kind of cool people. He talks about how like carnies are often very misunderstood people. People see them as like, you know, greasy, slimy, creepy people. But he's like, hey, there's this person here who's like, she has polio, but she's invented like fire techniques that are still used in modern day, and this guy's a juggler and he sends his money back to his family, and all this sort of stuff. Nice. And it's just a nice little palate cleanser.
Dick Grayson, friends to carnies everywhere.
Yeah. They're not like the ones from The Simpsons where they take over the Simpsons house.
Yeah, exactly. There, those are the bad types of carnies. I can get into that. I read The Night, that Batman prequel book from Chip Zdarsky, and honestly, I had to eat some crow on this one.
Okay.
So remember, I'd been saying forever when fans were like, I think Anton is going to be revealed to be Ghostmaker. And I'm like, that's stupid. Why would Chip Zdarsky, in a series where he's created nothing but new characters, go out of his way to give a new non-canon origin story for a character someone else made? Well, it turned out Anton was fucking Ghostmaker. Yeah.
So does this mean it's in continuity, or is this just like a different version of Ghostmaker?
So that's the part that blew my fucking mind, because, we see a bunch of flashes of, like, Bruce on his training and saying, like, for the last 2 months, someone has been trying to kill me, and I keep running into Anton, and he keeps killing, these masters. And one of the little panels we see is them in Ireland learning knife fighting, and that's how James Tynion debuted Ghostmaker. And I'm like, fuck me, was this meant to be in canon at one point?
Yeah, is it still canon? Is this going to be revealed like once Dark Crisis ends? Oh yeah, that's like the new origin.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. It's just so weird.
Writing Batman at the moment.
It's true.
Oh,
it's so weird and so unexpected. That being said, I mean, this is still like the best Ghostmaker story.
Oh, absolutely. I imagine it is.
Like, even if it is like just completely editorially mandated, where they're like, oh, he's selling a lot of toys, oh, he's getting a new solo series in a couple months there, we want you to push him. Honestly, I thought the story worked better when Anton could just represent any of the people who, was on Batman's side, when his crusade started, but who eventually turned against him. But all right, sure, fine, he's Ghostmaker, and this is his canon, non-canon origin story.
Nice.
But yeah, so that's a whole thing. That's just one side of the story. The other one is Batman, wants to learn from like a crazy Timothy Leary psychologist his final lesson. And he's like, I want to learn how to make myself dead to pain and dead to emotion. Is my thing. Can you teach me to do that? Basically, can you help me become a psychopath like Anton and not care about anything? But of course, because he's Bruce Wayne, and because he loves the world, and Batman was never meant to be an unfeeling, uncaring individual, he doesn't.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. It's still a very solid series, weird Ghostmaker revelation notwithstanding. I don't even know if I don't like the Ghostmaker thing. I'm just so goddamn, like, gobsmacked by it. Because, like, I would have bet money. I would have been like, my left nut says this will never happen. And then I'd be having to give up my left nut right about now. So I'm glad I didn't. But yeah, Batman the Night continues to be great. The next one's going to be Ra's al Ghul.
Oh, nice.
So they're building up to that. So if you're behind on that, definitely get caught up.
Yeah, so, yeah, what if they fucking reveal that, Ra's al Ghul is now, like, technically dead? So you're like, yeah.
Or something, yeah, I don't know. What other books did you have, Matt?
I had, let me check my list here. I had the end of the Banner of War saga with Hulk issue 8.
Oh, that only just ended now?
Yeah, the last issue came out this week. There was a long wait between this last issue.
I was gonna say, yeah, holy shit, like
Yeah.
there's been new Thor issues in between.
It was funny because earlier last week I was like, Banner of War finished, didn't it? And then I like looked up and like, holy shit, no, it's got one more issue that comes out this week. What the fuck? I don't know why the delays were, if it was even delayed or anything, but yeah.
Did they want to coincide with the release of She-Hulk and, Hulkamania?
Yeah, maybe.
Again, if I was to be thinking of a completely corporate editorial answer, that's the answer I gave.
So this issue, it's set up really well because it's set up with like the Watcher. He's like watching the fight, and he's like, he's gonna give us the answer to the age-old question: who would win in a fight between the Hulk or Thor? And they're like fucking fighting each other and everything, and it's really cool because Donnie gives us like a really cool reason as to like why they've never technically fought, quote unquote, and he has Beta Ray Bill basically say Thor has always held back because he's an honorable, humble warrior. He's an avenger. He was sent to Earth to learn humility and control and all that sort of stuff.
It's his whole thing.
Yeah, it's his whole thing. But also, like, he saw Hulk. He knows Banner is in there, and he doesn't want to hurt Banner because Banner is his friend and ally and everything. But now that Thor has been gamma irradiated and turned into a Hulk, he doesn't have that anymore. So he is super strong, and he ends up ripping off Hulk's arm just like basically beating him to death with it and all that sort of stuff. But Odin manages to take control of Hulk because he's inside Hulk with Banner. And he manages to take Hulk to Asgard and trap him on Yggdrasil. And Yggdrasil, the idea is that Yggdrasil is going to use pretty much all of the magic in the known and unknown universes to burn the gamma out of Thor.
That's one way to do it.
It doesn't work though, and Thor ends up ripping apart Yggdrasil and destroying it.
That sounds bad.
Yeah. Then Banner decides, well, why we've tried with force and that's not worked. Why don't we try with words? So he gives control of Hulk over to Odin, and Odin does the, oh, I'm sorry, son, let me help you. I'll help you, and he ends up burning away the entire gamma radiation from Thor with Mjolnir. And it ends up freeing him and knocks everyone out and everything. And in the fact that no one saw what would happen, basically what Thor has done is given Hulk an out because Hulk survived, and he ends up heading back into the bleed. But Thor tells Tony Stark and Sif and all these people that Hulk died in the explosion because no one but a god could survive the explosion. So the Avengers and everyone all think that Hulk is now dead, which gets him kind of off the hook for what happened in El Paso.
Yeah, I guess. It also sets him up to maybe go back to Cigar, as we were saying.
Yeah, it sets him up to go back into the bleed and fuck around in the multiverse and try and find a place for him to live.
And that way, when he does come back, it'll be a big deal. The return of the Hulk.
And it's really cool because Sif at the end says, was it really a good idea to do that? Let him go. And Thor's like, I probably would have agreed with you had I not felt the rage and anger that Hulk feels. No one trusts him. Everyone's going to forever doubt him for what he did in El Paso. True. No one's ever going to believe that it wasn't Banner who did that. And thanks to the gamma infecting me, I felt that rage and everything, so I understand it better now. So it's best he be left on his own.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Yeah, I'll have to read that now because I want to get back into reading Thor, which means I'll have to read Banner of War, which means I'll have to catch up on Hulk. So it's hard being a comic fan sometimes. Even comics I can't read sometimes.
Hulk is really worth catching up on. It's really quite a fun series, and I'm glad they're going back into the multiverse stuff because they're just starting to get into it when the Banner of War stuff came on. He ended up fighting a General Ross of another Earth who uses a gamma irradiated Peter Parker as a giant spider weapon and everything.
Okay, that I did see.
Yeah, it's great.
I saw pictures of that. I guess another really big Marvel book this week that I've been loving to death. I read Daredevil issue number 2. And man, let me tell you, if you thought you knew where this series was going when Chip Zdarsky, started back with #1, you're wrong, because they're going into some crazy directions.
They're going hard into like the religious Catholicism
Yep.
themes.
Oh yeah, in a way where you're like, yeah, man, why did it take them so long to do this? Because you remembered like Al Ewing did a whole thing where
Yeah.
Hulk met God, and it's like, well,
Yeah.
why has Daredevil never done this? Because thematically it works, and basically this is a mortal Daredevil. Essentially, it's him meeting a real angel who says the reason your life keeps getting ruined every few years, every new run, is because God has willed it to be. And I have been here pulling strings to make sure your life is always horrible and shitty because you need that to be a better hero.
Yeah, yeah. This isn't a very nice angel. It's it's an avenging angel, an Old Testament angel. Yeah.
Yep. Whose name is Goldman, which I thought was
Yeah.
interesting. I'm like, yes, the Jewish man is actually the Judeo-Christian angel. How about that? Though as Goldman tells it, he wasn't always an angel. It wasn't until he met Matt Murdock that he heard the voice. They don't say voice of God, but it's very obvious that's what he said. God told me what to do. And Daredevil doesn't even believe him at first. He's like, no, you're just a crazy guy with meta powers. This isn't my first rodeo. But then the longer this story goes on, he keeps doing shit and saying shit that only an angel could do / know.
Yeah. Do you reckon though it will be revealed that like, oh yeah, he was just like, he's like an Omega level mutant or something?
I don't know, man. I really don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Because like I read it, and I'm like, oh, it'd be interesting to see like Daredevil literally have to fight God. But then again, there's like the aspect. It's like, yeah, it could always just be like a red herring.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting. If it is literally Daredevil fighting God, holy shit, that took balls to take this character's faith and inverse in such a way. And if it is like a weird like Kingpin conspiracy, like ha ha ha, I made an angel to drive you crazy because fuck you, Daredevil. That's fine too. Either way, I think there's a lot of really interesting ways you could spin it. It's the last bit that made me really love it, the tragedy where Goldie the angel is like, yes, and God's gonna, keep fucking up your life, and people you love are gonna die, and they're gonna push you away, but you're gonna be a better hero. But hey, sometimes good things will happen too, like Christian will live, only for you to know that you can't be with her because you've already made, deals and, made plans for other stuff. That'll happen too, so, don't worry about that. And I'm like, wow. I think this, like, Goldie kicks his ass and he never even throws a punch.
No, yeah, it's great.
In classic Daredevil fashion, Daredevil beat himself up, basically.
Yeah. No, Goldie is great. I love that first part. I think it was in the first issue where he does that thing with like that little bead where he like drops it on the floor and it like trips up the cyclist and like, yeah, that was great.
Yep, it's good shit. It's really good shit.
Yeah.
I like it. Again, if you thought, Zdarsky's probably out of steam after Devil's ran and everything, nope, lot of steam left in the tank. In fact, he was clearly building up to this because they go back to that Bullseye story where he said he was seeing angels telling him to kill people, and that was actually Goldie. So they've been planning this for a really long time, Zdarsky.
Good old Zdarsky.
Tell me about it, man. Man, if he could bring some of this to Batman, wouldn't that be nice?
I mean, it looks like he's starting to with the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh appearing and like actually being somewhat interesting.
Yeah, let's use every bit of continuity, even the weird stuff.
Yeah.
What else did you have, Matt? I had 2 more.
I had Avengers 1 million BC.
Oh, yeah, this is the big special Thor one-shot where Jason Aaron keeps saying he's going to finally answer Thor questions.
Yeah, and he does.
Does he now? Do tell.
Thor, well, it's all about who's Thor's mother and like
yes.
who because everyone seems to assume it's the Phoenix, and technically that's sort of true. It's like half true.
Right, because this is a mystery that even Thor himself pooped in the pages of his own book.
His actual biological mother, who he was born from, is Gaia, but it's also Phoenix technically as well. But yeah, the story is set up that we see like the Avengers 1 billion team is just like fighting around and everything, and eventually Black Panther is killed in combat. and they have like a funeral for it, and that's sort of the thing that sets Wakanda off to become an isolationist nation. They don't want anything because they saw like him being part of this team with all these gods and everything is what set it off and everything.
Makes sense.
And during all this, Odin is being his young, kind of scummy self, where like there's like a literal funeral for their friend, and he's like, "Hey, Phoenix, let's go over here and fuck." and Phoenix is like, "No, our friend just fucking died, man. Just cool it, mate.
Keep it in your pants for a second."
Yeah, and like shit starts getting it's a bit turbulent. She keeps like spurting his advances because she knows like eventually she's going to have to leave Earth because the Phoenix literally needs to go out into the galaxy. And if she stays on Earth, bad shit will happen. And eventually Odin's like, he like calls the Avengers to like Asgard. He's like, quick, there's a big problem. And they all gather and everything. And he's literally like, okay, we're all here. Now, Phoenix, we're going to get married right now. And Phoenix is like, what the fuck are you doing? And then it's like, she ends up leaving. And that's the genesis of the Avengers 1 billion team breaking up because, Odin is like
ruined it for everybody.
Odin is like really unhappy and everything, and apparently after like him breaking up with Phoenix, he went around to like every other goddess to try and marry like just someone.
Amazing.
Just fucking someone.
Just the ultimate rebound guy, Odin.
Yeah. And that's where Gaia comes in, because Gaia is one of these goddesses who he propositioned. And Phoenix ends up meeting with her and talking about it and talking like, look, I can't actually stay on Earth because if I do, the world will end. The Phoenix needs to go out into the universe and
it's kind of its thing.
Do other things, yeah. But you're literally the goddess of Earth. You can stay here and be with Odin and all that sort of stuff. So they kind of make this proposition where Gaia will marry Odin and things will start to calm down. Phoenix can then leave, and Phoenix does indeed leave, and then eventually Thor is born to Gaia, and then that's when the Frost Giants attack. The Frost Giants have been sort of like attacking here and there, and they attack at the time Gaia is giving birth, and Phoenix actually ends up returning to Earth even though she knows it will be bad for her to help protect Thor. And she ends up saving Thor's life from the Frost Giants. And that's kind of like where the story ends. We just kind of find out that, like, yeah, obviously Thor is Gaia and Odin's son, yeah, but also technically Phoenix is his mother as well, like godmother sort of thing. Yes,
a mother figure, if you will.
Yeah, and she sees Thor as much as her child as it is Gaia's, because she would have been Thor's mother had things been different.
Right, I was there when you were born and everything. That's interesting enough. I don't know why Jason Aaron felt so married to needing to tell that story, but all right.
I don't know either, but yeah, whatever.
You know what that is probably? That was probably some leftover shit from his own Thor run he never got to tell.
Probably the next arc or something, yeah.
Where he's like, look, I had this one in the tank, I never got to tell it, let me tell it now.
Yeah, I just love fucking horn dog Odin,
It's pretty fun.
It's pretty funny.
The irredeemable Odin, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
The second to last book I read this week was Nightwing 95.
Oh, nice.
Very, very brief. It's Nightwing, Maggie Sawyer, and Batwoman. They get all their teams together because they're finally ready to move on Blockbuster's operations and shut them all down in one night.
Nice. How's Kate and Maggie working together?
It's awkward, and it's funny because Nightwing brings them all together, and he's like, do you guys have a history I don't know about? And at the end, Kate eventually tells him, like, yeah, we were supposed to get married all the way back in the New 52, and we didn't, and I blame myself. And a lot of fans got all pissy with Taylor about that, even though it's like, dude,
it's a day that ends in Y, and fans will get pissy about the most minute things with that guy, I tell you.
It's like, guys, friggin' Taylor didn't write that. He's agreeing with you that it's a bad choice, that they totally should have gotten married, and if he had it his way, they would.
I don't know what it is about Tom Taylor, and he just attracts like the most fucking brain-rotted people to him.
It's the stance, but you know what it is? He's been too popular for too long in a lot of people's minds.
Hasn't fucked up something,
Hasn't said or done anything too stupid. He gives fans what they want most of the time, but not always what they want, and not in the way they want, because, you know, that's how writing is done.
Yeah, yeah.
And so people are like, well, why do you give those people what they want, but you don't give me what I want? And I'm like, he's not fucking Santa Claus. He's a goddamn writer, and again, he's trying to agree with you, give you sympathy. But yeah, I like the idea that Maggie Sawyer is going to be sticking around and is going to be the new commissioner of police in
nice.
Bloodhaven.
I was wondering who was going to be the new commissioner after McClane got the boot.
Not only did McClane get the boot, he got fucking murdered in this issue.
Yeah.
They're sitting around talking to him, and he's like, oh, but I got the file, so you can't send me to jail. You got to give me full, immunity because I have it. And they're like, ooh, yeah, you might have been taken out, but the precinct is still super, super corrupt, and we're killing you. And Maggie's like, who the fuck let people get in there to talk to our number one witness? Oh, my God, this place is worse than I thought. This place is the worst.
Is Maggie going to bring over Dan Turpin with him?
Yes.
Has he got to crack some fucking heads?
He seemed like he was. Yeah, he's her right-hand man. He's there. He's right next to her.
Yes.
And he's like, geez, Maggie, this is worse than I thought. It's a beautiful team up. It's wonderful. I'm all about it.
It's worse than that time when I became Darkseid.
Yeah, remember that? Blockbuster gets all pissed off because his empire is destroyed now, so he just takes a rocket launcher down to Haven and starts firing it at orphans.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, that's not a joke. He literally does, and Nightwing's like, oh my God, what's wrong with you, you sick maniac?
Oh, that's fucking great.
And then they start fighting, and Nightwing's mask gets knocked off, and Blockbuster sees his face, and he's like, oh, fuck me, I didn't have two enemies, I had one. Grayson and Nightwing are the same person. Shit. He has this amazing moment of realization of God damn it, I probably should have seen this.
It's so obvious.
It's so obvious, man. I was really in my own head on this one. But yeah, Nightwing continues to be great. This really feels like them ramping up to a big finale for the Dick versus Blockbuster story.
Nice. Yeah. I imagine issue 100 is probably going to be the end of that and the start of whatever else comes.
Yeah, and if you love cameos, this one is filled with cameos, because Dick calls in the entire Bat family and the entire Titans team to help him.
Oh, nice, yeah.
And it's so great. It's like, man, why don't you do this more often? You shut down an entire organized crime ring in one night.
Yeah. Look at all the shit you can get done.
Because you all work together. But you know what? That's part of the fun, too, because it's like, well, yeah, Nightwing's the only one who could do that, because everyone loves him and would come running when he asked, and he's not afraid to ask for help, unlike Batman.
That's true, yeah.
Even Batman's there. Batman's part of the group helping is the funny thing. Whereas, well, Dick asked, so of course I came.
Yeah, but just don't ask me to do anything.
Yeah, don't ask me to ask you to come to Gotham. I have that under control. I can handle that. Jerks.
I like to think in his head he's telling us oh, he needs me here, because otherwise he can't beat him.
Yeah, my son needs me. My son needs my help. And I'm there to help because I'm a good father figure guy. That's me. But yeah, that was the one. That was one of the last ones I read. Did you read Dark Crisis: Young Justice this week yet?
Part of it. I decided to read the Flash tie-in over this one first.
Well, I read it, and here's the thing. This one is not nearly as angry, pissy, or abrasive as the other issues were, but by God is it the most boring, which I think actually makes it the worst.
Yeah, from what I was reading in it, it did look like it's gone full mask off, and it's obviously like we've known and everyone knows that it's set in one of these dark worlds and everything, and it's why it's so dark and everything, so it's kind of dropped that facade. And but yeah, it just looks so fucking boring.
And yet it plays by different rules than the other worlds we've seen the heroes in, where they get everything they ever want and they're happy about it. But here they were gonna get everything they wanted, but it's bad and wrong and not how they remember it. This series is weird. I wish it was angry and pissy and abrasive, because at least then it's fun and interesting. This one is just them going through the motions. Yeah,
that's what it looked like. It looked like a word salad on every fucking page.
Oh yeah, they talk and talk. Yeah. It's a lot. They also do a thing that made me do a double take, where they're like, yes, our greatest villains are assembled here. Lex Luthor, Captain Boomerang, and Deathstroke. And it's like, oh yeah, Captain Boomerang killed Tim Drake's dad 4 or 5 fucking crises ago. And then, like, he was alive, though. Like, both of Tim's parents were alive, and then they just stopped writing about them, and then they just fused his origin again
Yeah.
because of Mr. Oz, and then they never dealt with the fact that he had parents who were alive but are now magically dead because of crises.
You see, and the thing is, like, the book could have done something interesting, like,
It
with
should've.
that idea. With it's like, wow, like, I don't really like have anything new, you know.
No.
You know, it's all old stuff. It's all the old stuff that's coming back and everything.
That's the worst thing about it. And Impulse is like, Deathstroke shot me in the leg one time, and I'm like, dude, that was like 20 years ago.
You've
What
had
are
so
you
much
going
other worse shit happen to you since
Yeah,
then. Fuck.
what are you fucking up? Like this issue is the definition of that saying, why you gotta bring up old shit. That's literally this whole thing where it's like, oh my god, will you kids not move the fuck on?
But then it's also really weird when you consider the first two issues, which was like the writer not wanting to move on.
Yes.
And like wanting and but then also saying the stuff that they were saying was good was also bad because it happened at a time where people were like racist and
Yes,
homophobic.
it's not
I'm
as
like,
good as we remember.
oh,
This book, I really don't know what they're trying to say here. One second it's a love letter, then it's
Yeah.
an indictment, and now it's just kind of wallowing in it. And I'm like, what are you trying to say here?
yeah. 2 more issues left. I think 2. Is it 2?
Yeah, 2 more. Which, man, I actually hope it does go back to being pissy and abrasive because at least it was interesting. Every
Yeah.
other Dark Crisis tie-in I've read, well, fine, has been kind of boring and doesn't feel necessary because it's like, oh yeah, and then they were in a magic world where everything they wanted happened, and I'm like, okay, there's not a lot of drama to that story, but sure, whatever.
Yeah, it's very very rare nowadays that you get like an issues or like a series that's just like so tone deaf on what it wants to be and what it is.
It's kind of amazing. Like if I wasn't so fascinated by it, I probably would have dumped it after issue 1, but I'm like, no, I need to take this ride. This is like the Room of friggin' comic book tie-ins. I need to see where this is going.
Yeah, it starts questions like, well, this had to have gone through like editors and like all these different people, and it still got through.
I mean, I think you want the best example of why DC editorial doesn't give a shit about these characters and doesn't give a shit about Young Justice. They let this book escape into the wild.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, sure, whatever, fine. You can't do any more damage to these characters that hasn't already been done.
Yeah. Hold my beer.
Yeah, that's the worst part where people are like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to the Young Justice cast. I'm like, no, the worst thing that happened to the Young Justice cast was 20 years of inactivity and stories that went nowhere. The damage has already been done. This is just like making you look at it. Look at it. Which, hey, maybe that is what they're trying to say. Maybe that is what Fitzmartin is trying to say. Look at it. Look at this mess. Look what I have to work with.
I mean, yeah, but like you'd think at least by now there'd be like some hint of that.
You'd hope so.
Yeah.
No, Cam Doug, I didn't actually get to read the Tom King Riddler tie-in. I plan to, though. I put it off because it's longer than the rest. It's like 60 pages. I have heard so many conflicting things on it. Some people are saying it's great. Some people are saying, Joel, please read this and tear into this because it's back to the bad old King.
From what I've saw, it's just so much like wallowing in misery and like why, and it's tied to like Killing Joke, and it's like first off, like why is it tied to Killing Joke?
I didn't think calling it One More Day was literal, but apparently it is. Or, One Bad Day was literal, but I guess it is.
Yeah, and yeah, I've heard so much conflicting stuff. Again, like as you said, it's back to like the old King way, and it makes me question, like, yeah, why does Riddler have to have like, because it goes back to his childhood, of course. Why does he have to have like a terrible, like, dark origin? Why can't he just be like the animated series one where he's like a game designer?
He's just
who has these ideas,
who thinks he's smarter than everyone.
Yeah, just have him like that. It's fine.
Again, the best summation of Riddler is ironically the title of that episode you just mentioned. If you're so smart, why aren't you rich?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I think is actually a much better way to take Riddler in a modern era where it seems like so many quote-unquote smart people are also like worshiping wealth, and they're like, well, I'm rich, so I must be smart. The Elon Musks of the pasty Riddler should just be Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thinking he's so much better than everyone else, but really he's not. He's just some pasty white guy.
Yeah, I'm smart and I'm rich and I invented these things, and have Batman being like, you didn't invent that. You paid someone else to invent it and slapped your name on it.
Yeah. Yeah,
He
and
didn't do
then he goes on the social media and calls someone a pedophile or something.
Exactly. See, that's what Riddler should be in 2022.
Yeah.
Bland Man there helping us out. Megan Fitzmartin's writing for the Tim Solo series will either stick the landing or not. What Devin Grayson was to Nightwing, there's no in between. Yeah, I've not read her. What is it? Her Tim stuff. I know she had the Batman Urban Legends thing, and she's going to be writing the new Solo. I feel like I should probably go back and like re-examine that just to see, because I know people will probably want me to cover the first issue of that.
Considering I hadn't heard of anything about her, like I didn't hear anything bad about those books from her. Like they're probably pretty good, but yeah, it makes you question like, why was this like the oddity?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I heard about it was people were complaining about Tim Drake being made by, but those people are always going to complain.
Yeah, who gives a shit?
Yeah, who gives a shit? Also, too, Fitzmartin, from what I understand, did not start in comics, came from, like, superhero television and animated.
Yeah.
And, I mean, like, I want to give her credit because it's like, you know, well, maybe credit's not the right word, but, you know, I want to not be too harsh on her because it's like, well, you know, you're coming from a different medium and, you know, a lot of people sometimes, you know, growing pains before they get it right. And, like, this is good, you know, comic books should be looking to writers outside the comic book ecosystem because sometimes they do get too in the weeds and too in their own head.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's a whole thing. But, yeah, no, that's the last one I read there. I read the frickin' Dark Crisis thing, and it was boring, which is a shame, because I loved talking about it when it was fucking unhinged and just swinging left and right.
Yeah, we got to a couple more issues, so maybe it will go back to that.
Hopefully it'll go crazy again. I'm hoping it will.
Yes. Well, the last issue I read was the Dark Crisis tie-in, the Flash tie-in.
Which I'm guessing was better. It feels like the Green Lantern one and the Flash ones are the ones you actually need to read.
Yeah. So yeah, this one again, it's sort of the end of the search of Barry Allen because they find him.
Right.
Linda Park, who now has speed powers, heads into the multiverse to try and find her kids, who have wound up on like that dark Gotham world where the Flash is called Night Flash. He's basically Batman, but we get like his origin. And it turns out his father, Henry Allen, was a renowned scientist who developed a formula that was like rapid healing. And he was getting ready to make like a bunch of money, but then a crime boss turned up and wanted it for himself and held Henry hostage, and then killed Nora Allen, and then went to kill Barry, but then the lightning struck the lab, and Barry ended up with his speed powers, and he ended up becoming the Night Flash. And this kid thinks he's
Night
a bit
Flash
of a,
champion of the night, defeater of the sun.
And this kid thinks he's like a dictator and everything, so he convinces Jai and Ira to like try and take him down. While that's happening, Max and Jesse find the Barry Allen on like the Mad Max world, and and we find out he's trying to get this pearl which is the last little bit of magic in his world, to like the location of this event that turned his world into a wasteland, since it apparently will revert it. And so they end up helping him defeat like Not Immortan Joe and all those people. Wally and Wallace, meanwhile, they've actually found the real Barry Allen, and he still thinks he sees Wally as Reverse Flash, so he's like almost beaten to death. And
when you say Reverse Flash, does he see him as main universe Reverse Flash or the New 52 Reverse Flash that Wallace is actually related to?
No, he sees him as Eobard Thawne.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he's only saved by Linda's a rival who ends up managing to knock Barry out and like convince him to snap out of the daze that Pryor has put him in, and he does that, and it's so good because like when he snaps out of it, throughout this whole book he's been done in like the old sort of Carmine Infantino sort of Flash. When he snaps out of it, he reverts back to like Daniel Sampere Flash.
I love art jokes.
Yeah, it's so good. Ira and Jai, meanwhile, continue to fight the Night Flash, and Jay Garrick shows up because he came to look for them. And we find out that Night Flash is actually the good guy, and the kid who they were talked into killing Night Flash is actually the bad guy. And we learn that the kid is Knives Maroney, who was the crime boss who tried to kill Henry Allen, and we find out that the serum actually and the lightning hit him as well. But instead of giving him speed powers, it reversed his age. So every year he grows younger and younger, and he wants to try and kill Night Flash before he ceases to exist.
Oh, that's some fun, like, Dick Tracy meets Benjamin Button shit. I like that.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. So yeah, they end up teaming up with Night Flash and like defeating him and everything, and they leave it open that Night Flash is probably going to come back in something. And yeah, they end all the people start all the different universes all sort of end their stories, and we end with Flash coming back to like the main universe, but then he peels off, realizing that, okay, so if I was stuck in this universe, the other Justice League members are going to be stuck in universes like this, and I've got to find them. And Green Lantern, who Hal Jordan, he's gone off to find prior in the Dark Crisis book, so he leaves through the Speed Force to go and find them, and I guess we're going to pick up with him in the Dark Crisis book.
Yeah, see, those sound like much better tie-ins than the ones I've been reading. The worlds without a blank don't really go anywhere. There's no drama because there's perfect worlds. This, Young Justice book we're reading is just bug nuts fucking insane.
Yeah.
It's like none of the tie-ins really seem worth it, except for this and the Green Lantern, which I guess the book basically told you that when it started, because they're the only ones they bother setting up in the main Dark Crisis series.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, hey, go read these. And also, Williamson's not writing both of them, right?
Both what?
Both the Green Lantern and Flash tie-ins, is he?
No, Jeremy Adams is writing the Flash tie-in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, see, because usually that's a good way you can tell.
Yeah, and the Green Lantern, are you talking about the Jon Stewart one that came out recently?
No, I know that's Jeffrey Thorne.
No, that Green Lantern one was Philip Kennedy Johnson.
Oh, is it really? Okay, so I'm
all of them are being written by like different people. Like Tom King did the Superman one.
Right, yeah.
And he's Johnson's did the Green Lantern one. I don't know who's doing the Batman one.
Interesting. Huh.
Yeah. And it's really weird that like the other like some Justice League members are just getting like backups.
Yeah,
like
that
Aquaman
really
and a Hawkgirl.
Yeah, that really shows.
Who are actually on the Justice League, but they don't get the book. They don't get the book.
Yeah, there's the pecking order. If you got a backup story, that means you suck. Well, wake me when we get the inevitable Green Arrow Black Canary one. I'll read that one.
That's coming pretty soon, I think.
Oh yeah,
because they technically survived though.
Yeah, quote unquote, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Well, I think that's just about it, right, for the show. Then we've covered everything we read.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll start just wrapping this one up again, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again. Sorry for the infrequentness of the show. We're hoping to get it back to normal. Also, we got another retro hero coming down the pipeline. We're going to do that Fantastic Four World's Greatest Hero show because it seems like the right time for it.
Definitely, yep.
Also, a lot of fans seem super stoked about it because a lot of our younger fans really grew up with it and really friggin' like it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm expecting another Legion of Superheroes level success on this one.
Hopefully.
Oh, Space Lord says Cy Spurrier is doing the Batman one. Oh, that one's probably going to be good.
Oh, nice. It'll be all psychological and shit.
Yeah, all psychological with a lot of deep theological meanings you're going to have to dig into.
That actually have, like, payoff and everything.
Yeah, that actually matters and everything. Of course, thank you, everyone, who donated tonight there. Blandman, Captain Coon, Clay Decker, Cowboy, and everything. Much appreciated. Again, if you're a patron, you'll be sure to get the both video and audio versions of this show first before anyone else. I've been uploading some more stuff for Capes and Crooks on there, too. Some, like promo art that I've been screwing around with. Hopefully, we'll be able to get that back soon. I know people were asking. It just sucks that we had to record half an episode, and then everyone went off to do other shit, so I haven't been able to wrangle them back again.
Are you moving to D&D 1 rules?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Matt. I have read over the rules, and I've decided instead of moving over to D&D 1 rules, I'm going to continue to misrepresent the rules of 5e as I have been doing.
What is the deal with those D&D 1 rules? Is it like easier or something? Or?
They don't even really know because no one's really gotten to look at the books. Basically what they're saying is, look, we know D&D 5e was the most successful version of this that we've ever done. It got new people to watch and play like never before. Entire, shows and streaming empires are built off the back of this. So we promise we're not going to change it too much seemed to be the takeaway.
Okay, yeah, because I would have thought they would have tried, like, oh, it's really popular now. Let's, like, make one that's, like, super easy for, like, anyone to play.
I mean, here's the thing. 5e is really easy.
Yeah,
It is.
Yeah.
So there's not much they can change, but also they got to change it up every so often because they got to sell you new books and new modules and new figures and everything.
Dice and all that shit, yeah.
New art, and they've wrung basically as much about 5e as they possibly can. The big new thing is they're promising integration with the app, with the Roll20 app and everything, because Wizards of the Coast bought them, and they're like, look, if you get this, you'll get digital and physical copies that you can carry around with you everywhere, which is certainly nice.
Yeah.
And they're working on a digital board thing, because right now other companies do digital boards, so they don't make any money off the back of that.
Okay, yeah, because it's all like Tabletop Simulator and Tailspire and all those games, yeah.
It sounds more like an integration of other stuff than a real sequel, which is funny because in years past they've had like a D&D or like D&D Plus or whatever. So it's funny that they just didn't call this, 5+ or something like that.
Yeah.
They gotta have a big name so you'll buy new stuff. But yes, on that note, everyone, now that we had a lovely little detour into the world of tabletop games, thank you so much for watching and listening. We'll have this one up soon for you in audio and visual for you to enjoy. And here's hoping we don't fall off the face of the earth again. I swear it is not my intention for the show to be bi-weekly.
Yeah. We've just been very busy.
Just been very busy. August has just been whooping my fucking ass. So until then, everyone, good night and goodbye.
So, yeah.